screenshot might look. Oh, it's a cam scanner. Hey everyone, how's it going? It's I, the real Randy Chavez. It's been a crazy couple of days, a crazy week with my co-host all dolled up from Sharby and our main man Joe on Chain. How y'all doing?
Just pulling up. I'm good, man. What's up, Randy? Whoa, 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 whoa. What's up, Sharby? Good to see you guys. How you doing?
Good. We're getting that bread. I was just. You ever see Recess? Like, Joe, how old are you?
I'm 27.
Oh, you might not have seen Recess, have you?
I'm not a big movie guy, unfortunately. I'm the worst for references and quotes, but hit me with it. Let's try it out.
So it was there's probably been a few movies, but it was a show beforehand. And don't worry, All Dolled Up has never seen anything ever made in the history of the world, so it's okay.
Same.
I have
So it was a show based around like these like fourth graders at Third Street School, and they had this like crotchety old like recess master. They had the principal. They had and there's this one episode where Spinelli, it's one of the girls in the group. Her parents are going to like her grandma's like retirement party, and then Miss Finster, who's like kind of like one of the old crotchety like anti-recess lady. She's a family friend, and she's like, I don't like to go to those. They depress me. Because like when retirement parties, when normally you're really old. Retirement parties in the military, you're like 38, and we're all retirement parties in the military are epic. So she doesn't go, but she's a family friend, so she watches Spinelli over the weekend. And then over this weekend, the first day, Spinelli's just bored out of her mind until she sees a photo of her grandma. Is like, oh my God, is this my grandma with Madonna? And she's like, no, that's me and your grandma, in the 1952, at a luau in Hawaii. And she's like, wow. And then that's like her first thing of like, oh, hey, I'm I was once fun. But then she hears Spinelli on the phone talking to her friend TJ. TJ's like, I knew she was mean, and that's fine, but she's just so boring. So she overhears her. She sits on her bed, and she's like, is it true, Muriel? Have you gotten boring? And I'm thinking like, oh my God, this is so like, how do we prevent that? Like, you're in your 20s, so you're good. But like, how do we prevent that? How do we stop forgetting? Am I boring? Do I not know?
I think you're pretty good, Randy. I think you're doing a good job of not being boring so far. I've watched a couple of these. I think I think you guys are well on your way for sure. These are pretty solid, so don't worry there. I love it.
Although, do you ever get that feeling like, is it true? Have I gotten boring?
Yeah. All the time.
How do you deal with it?
I don't care.
I don't know. When I turned 30, it was not a good time. Well, I was also on acid, and it was a big. Anyway, it was just hard. Like 31, 32, 33, 34. That they've been fine. Those birthdays have been like legit, but 30, that was. I believe my 20s was rough. That was rough.
30's gonna hurt. Go ahead, Sharby.
Oh, I'm gonna have to like go down after this and come back up because my connection's so terrible. I don't know if you can even hear me clearly, but my late 20s were great. I had my oldest son at 29, so like, but like up until 27, hated it. Like it's just
really
rough. It was just rough. Yeah, I just didn't like it. Don't know what I wanted to do, didn't know where I was going, just like that. Like I was like a wanderer. I moved around a lot. Just like finding my way. And then, once I had settled down and then I had children and like, my 30s, I don't remember that because I had 3 kids under 3. So, I'd had them back to back in 3 years. So I had like 3 toddlers running around, and now my 40s, like I have teenagers and I just love my 40s. Like
Sounds fun.
I think like here on out, like you just find your way, and it's hard because it's like, what do you want to be when you grow up? What are you going to do? Like that was my, like, you have to know at 18. And I didn't even know till like my 40s, right? Until what like really brought me joy or happiness or content. Like, so anywho, I like love my 40s. I'm excited for my 50s too. So I feel like it just gets better. It just gets better and better.
I feel like with kids too, especially if they do sports, like, oh, we pre-gaming for my kid's soccer game. Let's get like that's what I would do all the time.
I mean,
Get on it.
I was up at 4:45. I was up at 4:45 for football practice. So for my
With a little whiskey in your coffee.
Irish
no,
coffee.
we talked about that yesterday. He said, "Do you think my teachers put whiskey in their coffee?" I was like, "No." But I know when your grandma was in school, she had a teacher that did.
I would 100% do that. I even in the military, I was out by this time, but remember when that missile came in supposedly from North Korea, like into Hawaii, and everyone's like, so like my friends, they immediately like downed a couple of them downed what whiskey they had on them, and because they knew they were about to have no days off and like 16-hour days for like 3 weeks after that. So that's what they did. Joe, you are, I mean, it seems that you are pretty wildly successful, at least on X, with this growing, amazing spaces that you have that last several hours long. How did you fall into this? How did you know? Is it something that you know you wanted to do, or you just kind of fell upwards on that ladder of success?
Yeah, that's a question I'm always trying to ask myself and figure out how the hell did I end up here. It's definitely a great question, but in terms of the Twitter Spaces specifically, so I was building, and I am building a couple of other things in the background, and as we all know, as builders in the space, sometimes there are delays or things happen, and things get pushed back. So while I was sort of getting delayed on some other stuff, I was like, let me just push forward on things that I know that I can do or within my power. I don't have to rely on anybody else, anything else. I know if I want to run a show, have a show, do whatever, I can at least do that myself. I can commit to 1 day a week. A lot of people do theirs every single day. I'm like, I know 1 day a week I can commit to running a show, and that will still help me stay relevant in the algorithm, keep growing my profile. And I'd done, in the past, like a few years past, done similar like chill shows and stuff like that. So that's sort of how it came to be. I wanted to do it a little bit more organized and a little bit more timely. There's a lot of different chill shows that people are maybe more lenient with how long people get to chill. So that's where it came from. I was like, let me just do something that is productive and timely. And I know I can commit to at least once a week. So it's kind of where it came from, and it came out of just needing to stay relevant in the space as well as building other stuff.
So there's what I've noticed in my writing on some of these daCat comics that I've been doing and writing for other communities is that sometimes the characters that aren't necessarily like the best, like I'm trying to make daCat like Optimus Prime, super wise, super thoughtful, but some of the ones that I think people are really gonna like are the ones that are just crazy. Like there's this one character, Monkey, that I'm writing for right now, and that's going to be a fan favorite because he's so crazy. So the question is like, not necessarily the best pitch you've heard, but what has been the wildest one that's just like, bro, what is this guy on? It just crazy enough to work, or it's just absolutely madness. What's been the most memorable pitch that you've seen or heard?
Oh, first, I want to give you your props on the comic, man. I heard an excerpt that you read on the previous episode here, and it was awesome, dude. It was really good. Definitely some Optimus Prime, type energy was going on. I felt that for sure.
That was for Crappy Bird. Yeah.
For Crappy Bird, exactly. Yep. Yeah, what was going on. So yeah, it was cool. And you said it took you a lot of hours, so it was definitely hours well spent, man. It came together really well. So just hats off to you. And in terms of the craziest pitch, so we get about like anywhere from like 40 to 50 like founders or representatives for different projects each week. So I've definitely heard a lot, and to nail it down to just one, I don't think it's possible. I mean, I honestly don't think it's possible. I think I've heard everything you could possibly think of. But what's been really cool for me, I think, is hearing how people are integrating AI in crypto right now, and then me just sort of like being a part of those builds and watching those things take off. Also, some metaverse plays. I was around last cycle when the metaverse was just something that you threw your money into a dumpster fire and watch your money disappear in NFTs. And so I really wasn't into the hype or didn't believe in it. And now watching like Income Island, I think is one of the coolest projects that I've seen that I'm a part of, and that a lot of us, know the people from the Team Star Dogs. It's just like, wow, this is like comparable to GTA 6. Like
So
this
how are
is
you part of
literally.
it? Did you invest? Do you have land in there? How are you?
So I'm helping out right now. Interlink is some of you guys might know Frank and Interlink. So right now I'm just kind of part of their team, like helping out push marketing and different stuff like that. And he has this massive plot of land up there, this whole bachelor pad, dance floor, and it's just some prime real estate that they're building out. And so I'm just like part of the Interlink team, and just kind of helping and figure out marketing and growth and stuff like that. So that's kind of where that is. And Star Dogs also, they pulled me aside and for the oysters is something else I'm building, and showed me some ideas of some other stuff. They said they'd be happy to have us in the metaverse, and they gave me some sneak peeks, and it was just a really cool experience. So I've been lucky enough to get a little bit of behind the scenes of what's going on over there, and it's like, wow, this is literally so comparable to GTA 6 and like what other people are able to do. So I think that's been the craziest thing for me, is the Star Dogs really bring that into fruition, and then know projects that are part of it, and then sort of embedding ourselves within that metaverse framework so quickly.
I would love to I would love to get them somehow involved, like either writing them their own comic and then having some type of crossover, because there's a lot of these other communities, like it involves like fighting, like, hey, you're in this universe and there's this big interplanetary like solar system, like Civil War, this fight. But I think what, like, we could probably do it with them, write a comic, and then like, okay, well, kind of like the Olympics, like, wars are typically not like when the Olympics were going on. So maybe it's like, well, this is something that everybody likes. Everybody likes Hollywood. They like these movies. So I would love to do something like that with them. Pitch that to them if you can. If you can.
I'll definitely connect you guys. I think you guys work out very well. I think you guys will work very well together. It's super up each other's alley, and seeing some of your comics brought to life, or in the metaverse, would be really cool. I think that they'd be definitely on board with that.
Yeah, I think the comic has to come out and do well first before a lot of other people saw it. Because I've had Darcy on the podcast a couple times. She's awesome. I love her. But yeah, I think some people might be a little skeptical at first, like, what's this comic? And okay, I have to spend money on this. But once the first one comes out and it blows up, it'll make it. But then it's like I don't know about. Do you accept anybody on the on your spaces? Like
for my spaces to come up and pitch, it's 4 minutes for free, and I'll accept pretty much anybody. I do a light, quick vetting, of the profile before they come up, make sure I'm not about to get spam, or whatever. But to actually get like a sponsorship slot or like partnership, something like that, you definitely have to be building something actively for me to consider you guys. So what are you thinking on that? What are you thinking?
I forgot. I started not drinking yet. I haven't drank in like over a week. But I guess what did I ask you? I get a lot of sleep.
Oh, you're good. I mean, if we accept anybody on the show, on the 4 minute pitch show.
Oh yeah. So I get a ton of people inquire, like, hey, can we be in the comic? Which so originally we had Sharby, Crappy Bird, and Chaos on the Chains. So they're in like all, they're going to be in all of the main daCat comics until maybe like 8 or 9 or 10, when everyone starts dying, because they will at some point. The other ones, the Space Penguins, Ladies on Solana, and Solana Wolfpack, they asked to be in it, but I was already starting on daCat number 3. I was like, unless you're giving me like $5,000, I'm not rewriting these first 2 books. Like I am so, and even then I probably shouldn't have done it. But they're like, okay, well, so I wrote their own, and then they'll be in the 3rd daCat comic. And then so I strike deals with a lot of people, like Heinecoin, Nike the Pig, DigiJoints. I'm doing Monkey now. But I get a lot of interest from a lot of people. They like can't pay anything, they just want to be part of it. And it's like, and I get like their IP, it's like their own thing. It's like, hey, I have this great idea, and it'd be great to be like right next to daCat. Like we'd be like, back to back. I'd be like, that sounds great, but I can't, like, if I put your character in and it takes away from one of my other characters that I could sell merch for, and I'm already not getting paid for this in general, and it versus like the other people that I'm trying to, that are a lot bigger IP, they have a lot of followers, and it's like, okay, I will take the pay cut just to get that cross pollination. But when they're, you know, so much bigger, when they have 100,000+ followers, that gets a little harder to do, because it's like, well, do I work for free? And then yeah, so that's why I was wondering with you if you had gotten that balance of, because I think it was brought up last week on your space that because your spaces can only go for so long. They go for several hours, and we'll get into that. But at some point, there's going to be that prime real estate at like 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which we're going to get to. So they go for several hours. How is there like a hard stop? Be like, hey, a third of my day, 8 hours is all I can do, or is it like, fuck, if people want to come on, I'll do 16 hours. I don't care.
I think it's very much supply demand driven for sure. So I was doing them for just like an hour or two, and then they kind of expanded into 4 hours. And then once they got 4 hours long, they were still taculars and was on 4 hours. Once it was, you know, greater than 4 hours long, it changed name to Shillathon, you know, because now it's really getting in there. So 6 hours right now is my cap. I'd honestly be down to go when like the bull market is in full swing, like when crypto Twitter's going crazy, everybody's, you know, jumping in, looking for the next play. I would not be against doing 12 hours, you know, if that had to happen. But I think 6 hours is a nice happy medium. I can, you know, keep my energy the whole time and actually be able to do the show, pay attention to people without zoning out, different stuff like that. So right now, 6 hours is the cap. But if things keep growing and we have enough requests, like I'm ending at 6 hours and we still have a whole bunch of people requesting, you know, I'd just push the show earlier and earlier, and, you know, have more people from around the world be able to jump in. So, you know, we'll see what happens. Right now, 6 hours is the cap. And you're definitely right. It's getting to that point where some people are looking for some prime real estate, some prime time, you know, to chill. Obviously, you know, sometimes are more popular than others. So we'll see. Right now it's for free, and I'd like to always keep it for free. But of course, you know, I'm looking to grow and be able to provide value, you know, the best as I can sustainably to people as well. So like you said, we got to get paid. You know, if we want to do this full time, we have to figure out, you know, what's the best way to be able to have people on and highlight projects, you know, all in one go. So I totally understand your dilemma with the, you know, the comic and wanting to have different characters and stuff. But I think us picking and choosing our battles were a really great time for collaboration and also opportunity monetarily. So to answer your question, 6 hours max. That's what we're going with for right now.
Okay, copy that. I saw somebody so you mentioned crypto Twitter. I was like, oh, I'll take a look. Do you have you ever had Quakey on the rise on any of your?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So this guy J code 86 7,800 followers. So, you know, getting that bread. Said he just sweep Quakey on the rise. I was like, oh, I had one of those. I had them for sale, and then I realized that none of these were swept. And I was like, oh, I wonder, because on his thing it said like, oh, the minimum is like 4 Solana, and I was like, I don't know if any of mine were 4. And then I checked. I was like, are there 2 of those? Do you know if there are 2 NFT projects that they have?
I'm not sure, honestly. I know Quakey is kind of a part of a whole bunch of different like artists, you know, are involved there. So it might be like one artist, you know, collection versus another. Big shout out to the Quakey Nation, by the way. I think that might be actually J Connects there, the J Code 8, and they have some really good tracks. I actually play their music, Quakey Nation, a couple of their tracks during my shows. So I'm partnered with Digi Beats. You were talking about Blake, you know, the Digi Beats here. So I'm one of their sponsored hosts. So they send me some Web3 tracks. I play them straight off my Phantom, and I play them throughout the Twitter space. So it's a pretty cool little setup there.
Dude, Stu Kwan from Quakey is just a beast. Just locks in. Like I could picture him every morning waking up with like a shot of espresso and a cigarette. Today is gonna be a good day.
Give me a shot and a joint, and I'll be set for the day. I'll be good. Nah, Stu Kwan's awesome. I really like him a lot. I was listening in on a call that they have, and what I like about Quakey is they'll actually get on calls. I don't know what the period is that they do this, but they'll have everybody, cameras on and just kind of talking about what's going on in Quakey Nation, how they're building, and it's a really cool, way to connect that they do in like the Discord or the TG on the side. So big shout to them.
Yeah, they're awesome. You don't have to say percentage. I guess percentage wise, this way nobody knows like the actual number or whatever. Project you're heaviest in, or at least above like, yeah, this is like more than 2% of my net worth, or more than X. Like, what projects are you? Now it could just be like actually Ethereum, and it's like, okay, that's cool.
You mean, yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna ask. You mean like micro cap or macro cap, or like degen plays?
Yeah. Which ones have you aped into? Which ones were like from obligation? Which ones like, you know what? I don't know if this works, but if it does, 10,000 to 1 odds, YOLO. Let's go. Like, I'm curious what.
So, as our position in the space and crypto Twitter or whatever, as we tend to get more followers, more connections and stuff, you get more group chats. And so recently I got into like a total degen group chat. I'm like, okay, I have some extra liquidity. Let me just try rolling the dice a bunch. And honestly, I'll just, straight out with you, I threw money in on like 10 to 20 different projects. I'm like, if any of these do well, then, if they, one of these 100 X's, then at least make like, a couple of X's on my gains. And honestly, almost every single one of them just tanked horribly, to the point where I was like, screw this. I am done degenning. I have no more degenning. I'm just going to be putting in like different protocols like AlphaFi or people that come up on the space. And that's it. That's pretty much like, either it's a macro cap or something that I'm building or like a part of, or like one of the homies. So, to answer your question, I was degenning for the last few weeks. Didn't really work out so well. So now I just picked up another bag of coins, and just like some more of our classics. Like you mentioned Heine as well. Stupid coin I'm bullish on. If you know Stupid, they own stupid.com.
That's a great domain to have. That's amazing.
It's a crazy domain. Yeah. It's a multi-million-dollar domain that they own, that they have for sure. So like those are more like anything that comes on our stage or the people that we interact with, I'm willing to throw a bag in. But at this point, now I think moving forward, unless if there's, just a couple of real plays that, I'm willing to throw money into, I'm done degenning. I'm just going to take all my money and put it in like high APY staking and then invest in our friends and family. So, that's kind of what's going on. Is like a lot of our friends like Digi, the coins, Heine, Stupid. There's a couple of others as well, Staked Finance, that I'm bullish on. And then macro cap wise, of course, Bitcoin, that's my number one holding. But then Sui, Solana, XRP is like one of my smaller holdings. Yeah, but I'm really bullish on Sui, to be honest with you. I'll probably keep rotating more of my money into staking protocols on Sui. Okay. I'm curious for you guys, what's your breakdown like for like macro caps versus micro caps in your portfolio? Do you do like a certain percent or?
I have like 1 ETH, and that's like it, because there's a buddy of mine that's about to put in like a lot, and this is gonna sound so bad. If you're, and I've never sold, I've only been a customer, but if you're a dealer and you want to sell some product, you want to give them like the purest, like you want to give them something to keep them coming back. I want this person to have a nice positive experience with it. So I was like, okay, we're just going to get you Ethereum. We're going to get you like Solana. We're going to get you Flow. We're going to get you like these top 100 tokens that are super, super safe. And maybe we'll put like 5 or 10% into like some of the micro caps that I have, which I also believe are very, very super safe. But I also know that ETH is probably going to continue to run before the micro caps go up. And he'll be more apt to listen to me like, hey, listen, you doubled your money here. Want you to roll it into these, and he's not going to believe that some of these will 30x or 50x because he'll think I'm on drugs, like not good ones. Yeah. And I'll just be like, hey, listen, you're going to have to trust me on this, because most of as far as my crypto net worth, it's like 98% in these small caps under $60 million market cap. Definity is my biggest one by far, and that's like under a $5 million market cap, but they're doing like hundreds of thousands of dollars per month. Like, so like I think Heinecoin has a higher market cap than Definity, and I love Heinecoin. I got into them, interviewed them at like $900,000 market cap, went to 2 million. Congrats. Working to try to get them back on the stream for a celebration. Goes 2.7, go to 4. God, they're going insane. And I'm sure, and I wrote the comic for them. Their comic is great. That'll come out later this year. But they're not doing hundreds of thousands a month in net revenues. They might have certain revenues, and that's great. But Definity having all these things, I was like, so it's my biggest positions is in that. Second biggest right now, if we're just talking about cryptos, probably Omi. Powers the VeVe app, largest digital collectibles platform in the world. I've mentioned that on your spaces. And then DEVVE, fastest layer 1 blockchain in the world, 8.5 million transactions per second. That is my third biggest position if we're just talking about crypto. If we're talking about things that are like businesses and such, Definity remains number 1 by very, very far. But number 3 actually changes to daCat, because I have like 11, 12K worth of the token. It's not a lot, but I own that 95% of that IP. Stupidly raised money at 150K. I can definitely raise money minimum at $250,000 now, if not more. But those are kind of my big bets. And then I have like a bag of SHIRO. I have a bag of like anything that sponsors the channel, DeLorean, other that stuff. I'll have bags of. Like I have Crappy Bird. But the biggest bets are really Definity, DEVVE, and Omi, and then I guess daCat, and that makes up like 98% of my crypto holdings.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I can appreciate that. That's definitely where I'm moving towards as well. It's just like loading up on conviction plays that are low cap that we can make true generational wealth, out of if these things take off, if and when these things take off. And the fact that there's, sustainable revenue streams, why wouldn't they take off after a while, So, yeah, man, I love it. I love this place. I think the mid caps, area is definitely a good place to find some gems.
There's have you heard of ladies on Solana?
No, like Miladies?
No, I wish Milady. So there's this one girl named Pixie, and she's got this is her base, this is her project, and she has community managers, a girl named Kimber. She'll be on the podcast I think on Friday.
I know Kimber. Yeah.
Oh yeah, she's great. So she's got this new thing now. I'm gonna get her on for that, but we'll talk about ladies as well. So she has this. Pixie has this 501c3, and it's meant for like an animal sanctuary, or she's has the plot of land she's gonna buy. She's gonna buy this. She has this crazy story where in like 2014 she was on like a bunch of Ambien, and the Ambien just made her buy Bitcoin. So she didn't say how much she bought, but at a $10 million market cap, she's giving away 1.5 Bitcoin like to the community for lays. I was like, oh my God. So I now have like 13% of this entire supply because it's like a $12,000 market cap. She clearly has the funds to keep this going forever. And as more people get into my side, I don't know what I'm going to do for it, but I'm going to push the ever-loving shiz out of this because now I own like 14% or however much it is. And she's part of the daCat universe, so like the comic is really good. It's really freaking good. The artist that's in the Philippines, like the house is gone because they had like monsoons and stuff. So I was like, oh my God, so we have to wait a couple months on that. But yeah, do you have any of these like? What's your lowest market cap coin that you have that like?
I was aping into shitters, as we call 7K, 5K. I back just 2 weeks ago when I was degenning, I was degenning all the months before that too. It didn't matter to me, especially depending on who's involved in the token, like you said, and things like that. I guess conviction play wise, I'm not sure. Maybe Cypher AI. Like you said, anybody who I've sponsored before. I'm not sure what Interlink is sitting at right now. XPX is at like 1 million, I believe, market cap, and I'm really bullish on XPX token as well. I'm sure you know them. But yeah, I don't. The lower the market cap, the better. If they're generating revenue, then I'll look into them, type of thing.
Yeah. We'll talk off camera about Definity and why I got like another $700 because they so with these low market cap ones, like they had was it they had like 7K somebody just sell and it went down like 20 something percent. I was like, oh, I'm loading up. So
hell yeah, it's a good time to buy DCA all day.
Oh, I feel like I don't know, I've been DCAing for years now on everything and I was like, oh, this is rough. Do you ever get discouraged by some of this stuff? How do you deal with that? How do you deal with the like, man, I buy the dip. I've been buying the dip and it keeps dipping. How do you...
When the dip keeps dipping? I mean, I guess my thing is at this point, I'm just so all in, and I wouldn't be this all in if I didn't know to my core that 10 years from now, 20 years from now, all this day to day, we're talking about 10% price fluctuations, 20%, none of that's going to matter in the grand scheme of 20 years from now where the prices are going to be, as long as we're still building. So for me, it is discouraging to see your money going down some days, and for sometimes for a period of years, definitely not fun. But it's that conviction. Like I just know that where my bigger bags are, I put them there for a reason. And I've just been around, I guess, since 2017 was really when I was getting heavily involved in crypto. And anybody, if we've been around for that long, you just get thick skin. I'm into extreme alt natural medicine, the most extreme natural medicine you can go, where everybody calls you a quack and crazy. I've been in crypto for a long time. Everybody calls you crazy and a quack, and it just, at whatever point you just have to know yourself and just, be okay when things are dipping. Just treat it like a discount. No one ever gets upset about a discount. And think about the 10 years, think about the 20 years. And, we've had enough good days and that like you could say like, I told you so, but we don't, so it's like, I know those days will come again. And that just brings me through.
Have you just identify? I hope you're feeling better. Well, thank you. Last night I don't know what it was. I just had just my body just decided to say F you. But yeah, I'm better now.
Sorry about that. Glad you're feeling better, man. Definitely. Self-love is the most, important thing in the space. Make sure you're getting some time away, whenever you can.
Yeah, that's hard. So I guess that's the other thing. How do you find, because like I relish the time to when I poop because I know I have a few minutes to scroll on TikTok. I was like, okay, no one can take this away from me. How do you find balance? How do you go? Because like if you're building anywhere close, like, and it seems like you are, how do you balance everything? Where it's like, okay, 98% work, 1.5% rest, and every now and then you'll watch like 10 minutes of an episode of like BoJack Horseman or something. How do you do that?
There's no rest. I think maybe because I'm in my mid-20s that I'm at least able to sustain the 4 hours of sleep nights right now, but I could definitely feel it, on me. There's some days I'm not as there, mentally, I'm not as sharp. So, it's just about that self-love, man. Honestly, I do get at least 30 minutes of exercise a day. If not, like an hour would be more ideal, so just like walking, I meditate, I listen to a lot of, like abundance meditations, I also do different types of breath work, just making sure you have those boundaries, like you said, that you can have little wins throughout the day. Like, I relish in the 10-minute YouTube videos I get when I'm eating, like I love that, or, whatever it is. So I very much am, I try and be as appreciative as possible. And the first thing, as soon as I wake up in the morning, and this morning I woke up at like 3 a.m. and I was just like, okay, here we go. I guess we're starting the day. Like, that's it. The first thing I try and do every single day is just think about, like what I'm grateful for, just be grateful for, anything X, Y, Z. And then I feel like, from then on, I'm at least, okay. And I'm appreciative, there's so many worse places that we could be, man. There's so many people going through so much bullshit, that have so many, hard things in our lives. Not that I don't have anything, stressful in my life going on. We all have our things. But I just tell myself, I'm blessed, we're so fortunate to be in this space. And, I'm just in the right place at the right time. So that's kind of, celebrate the little wins, be as appreciative as possible, and make sure you just make the time for yourself, self-love, like, the hour to walk a day or the 30 minutes and, the meditation and stuff like that. Whatever it takes for you to be able to do this, for the next decade straight type thing.
So there's, I have a couple questions, but I feel like I should ask this one first. Is there a Mrs. Joe on chain, or is there a future Mrs. Joe on chain?
There's a few. We'll see. Well, they tend to come and go with the bull and the bear. It tells me how
Okay.
it goes.
All right. So now I feel comfortable with this. Because like obviously you're building stuff. Yeah, you're becoming like a man of status. You have like these bunch of followers. I assume you rubbing shoulders with the Darcy Donovan, Star Dogs, all these bits. So getting up there. There's a scene from Guardians of the Galaxy 2 where Drax is talking to Mantis, saying that like, it's when you're ugly and people love you, they love you for you. Beautiful people never know who to trust. And I feel like for men, when you have that status and success, like I am much fatter. I'm less hair and I just less muscle tone than I did, 6, 7 years ago. But it's a lot easier for women now just because of like the YouTube status and the kind of the wealth that goes along with that. How do you choose? Are you just be like, hey, I'm gonna enjoy these DMs. I'm gonna enjoy this for now, or do you like, what? I want to be a young dad. Like, what's your play on this? And do you want to settle down before you get too big? Because this way, she kind of likes you still for you, kind of, versus when you have 70,000 followers and $8 million, or it's like, okay, how can you be sure?
Yeah, man. Totally great question. 27 is definitely that age. All my friends are getting married, having kids, type thing. So it's like, obviously, what's going on, Joe? So I mean, I guess my thing is, first I'd like to. I'm such a money-driven person, but personally, I'd like to just like have a solid amount of money under my belt before I start a family. I guess that's the thing is I really need some of these businesses, or at least past this cycle, to happen in order to feel monetarily comfortable enough to like start a family type thing. But I mean, just in terms of dating, or whatever, like I don't overthink anything. If I'm at the right time, the right place, I do a lot of traveling. I was just in Mexico for a little bit, and hopefully I'll go other places. If I run into the right person, it works out. Like cool. It's I will feel the vibe. I'm very much an energetic kind of person. I can feel the room. I can feel energy and stuff. So if it works out, it works out. If not, then if not, I think I'll know when someone is reading me for being genuine or not. And I'm also pretty energetic kind of person, so I think I'll get a feel for if someone could put up with me for long enough or not. But yeah, I mean, relationships are obviously a challenge when we're doing the space, when we're on spaces at like 4 a.m. or like 2 a.m. or in the middle of the day or this or that, you have to draw. It is definitely a challenging thing, and as I think I move back into relationship in the future, we'll definitely have to separate and have boundaries, and I think having a second phone will help, just so your personal life is more disconnected from this work life. So yeah, man, we'll see. It's funny that you asked that. Like, my goal is not to be an influencer or a freaking KOL or whatever cringe word we want to say. Like, my goal is just literally to build people, and if influence comes with it, then so be it. But if just building, I just want to build and further the space, and if we get more influence, so be it, like I said. But we'll see what happens, man. Relationships are hard, but everything is ebb and flow, and I'm just going to trust my gut, my heart, my soul, my brain, that I know what's going on in the right direction, and then we'll move forward when it feels right.
I do not trust my heart. I feel like
I felt that when you said it. I felt that you I just know. I know that I'm going to make the right decision. I don't know how everything's going to work out. I don't know when it's going to work out. I don't know it, exactly ABC, but I just know it will, man. And same thing with you, bro. You got, definitely a lot of love to give. You're an abundant person. So, whenever it works out, bro, it'll work out.
Hold up, you there?
Hell
Can
yeah.
we ask how soon did you know, like not when he asked you to marry you, but like how soon into dating Hero did you like, yep, I know if he asked I would say yes. How soon was that?
Our first out of town date, I would say, which was like
how long
2
into
weeks
the relationship was that?
It was 2 weeks. Oh God, I liked him the moment I met him. It was really fast. It was very fast for us. But
you got to tell us this story because I
like 2 weeks in, we did an overnight trip to San Francisco, and we both love San Francisco. So it was like, it was really great. It was really great. And then, you just know, but I have to say, we're very opposite in everything. And I promise this, like, we just were laughing to each other the other night because we're so opposite, from movies to humor. And it freaking works 100%. And it's that balance, right? Like, he picks up where I fall off and I pick up where he falls off. And it's like this ultimate support. So I think I had never, like, I joked with Randy about this before. Like, if you had a lineup, like, he would never have chosen me and I would never have chosen him. Like, just off of, like, it was by happenstance. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, and it's great. And when it happens, I think you'll know. The thing is that if your head and your heart are in a battle and you're not open to that energy or in that mindset to accept a relationship, then you're going to be met with resistance. So I was ready. And it was so funny because him and I had both spent a few years single, just like being okay, being alone, like, yourself, like, all these things. You're older, you're wiser. And so we were both in a place in our lives where we were open to it. And so, like, when Hero proposed to me, his sister was like, oh my gosh, he called me and I couldn't believe it. I never thought he'd get married. We never thought my brother would, like, propose this. Like, this is like, we just never thought it would happen. And so it's crazy because and you know what, we were both in our 40s and it was both of our first marriages. So I had never been married and he had never been married. So, but I just knew, you just, and we were open in that, if you have that openness to it, to accept that, then I think that helps. But if you are if you defend your heart so strongly that you don't, it'll go away from you. You won't be able to accept that in. So, it's, and you know what? I hated crypto for like 2.5 years, and that's a whole nother podcast. And how he got me here, I don't know. It happened, but with relationships and this space, I had a disdain for it. I hated it. I was just like, oh my gosh, you're like on your phone. We get in the car, drive to dinner, check your phone, in the bathroom for an hour and 17 minutes on the phone, whatever it might be. I was just like, but then there'd be wins, right? And I'd be like, oh my God, that's amazing. Like, what just happened? How'd you do that? So it was very slow going at the beginning, but it was very time consuming. But I saw this passion. And so we got to an amicable point where we just didn't talk about it. It wasn't like, oh, I aped into this today and I lost this much, or I aped into this today and I made this much. I just got to where I didn't ask and we didn't talk about it. And that worked way better, right? Because I wasn't emotionally capable to handle the high than the low 6 hours later. Like, I was like, what do you mean it's all gone? Like, what did you sell? No. Oh my God. Like, that can cause so much. So openness with your partner is very important, but then like finding what works for you guys. Like, do we talk about that small ape into that bag and I spent $250 and oh, it was gone in 6 minutes, or not? Like, you know, are you going to talk about those? Fine. So that being said, once I came into the space, and I remember the day, okay, and this is, I don't know if this is public yet. Billy walked in and he said, there's a project. I need you to get a telegram. And I was like, okay, no, not happening. And he's like, no, really, like this community, this one's different. Like, I'm asking you to get a telegram. So I was like, oh shit. Okay. So I got a telegram. He was like, oh, he said I had made this much money. And I was like, or I'm up this much money. Who didn't make, we still never sold to this day. So we haven't made any money, but I'm up this much money in this project. And I was like, oh, holy shit. Okay. Really, it was 10 times what he told me. So that was a separate conversation, because I thought he had like this many X's when it was like 10 times that much. So that was a whole separate conversation with us, because he was nervous to tell me how much he actually had. And so I went into it, but I haven't left since that day. And let me tell you, like, our whole lives, you know, us being from the US, it's like, go to college, go do that. What are you doing after college? Get your degree, get a job, work your 9 to 5, your 8 to 10, whatever it is, you know, 40, 50 hours a week. And you're in this, like, and I did all that. That was my life. And I hadn't felt a fulfillment until I came into this space, and it's its own beast. It's crazy. You feel a worth that you haven't had before. Community, friendships. I mean, I love the people. I have some people in here that like I would probably do anything for, right? I have 2 sons in Nigeria. I literally have like 2 people that like I'm their mom, and I've known them almost 3 years now. And like you build these connections. And it's hard. It's powerful. And I know the psychology of crypto. If someone's already writing the book about it, it's going to come out. I'll read it, whoever's doing that. Because it gives you something that, you know, I apologize to hear. I was like, I never knew. Like, you just feel a connection. And if you're truly grinding and adding value to this space, it is a fulfillment that's hard to find. So anyway, I just went off on one of my tangents, but it's all encompassing. And like but you got to find that partner. And even if you're met with resistance, you know, we had a whale the other day that was like, oh, my wife, like, she's so sick of me believing in this these projects, and like, she doesn't understand. And it hurt my heart. I was like, I was sad for him, because I knew exactly how the wife felt. I knew what she's thinking. And at the end, on the other side, I'm in it, and I know what that 10 years will bring. This is like for my children and my grandkids, and this is the future, right? So anywho, like, you know, let them come in, I think, and see it. Have them know what you do every day, because there's a passion that's hard to match, you know, and it's not for nothing. And it's not just like a purple dog with a crown to me, right? It's so much more. So anyway, yeah. Good luck, Joe.
I love that. I love that, Sharvie. Thank you. I love that.
Are we gonna start a love podcast, Randy?
I would love. I feel like I need a drink for that, or I need some Lucy for that, because I love that shit. I like rom-coms. I like chick flicks. I like Trainwreck. I like Miss Congeniality. I don't know. I like this stuff. I don't know why. I feel like what's his name from Avengers Endgame, Red Skull, or is like, I guide others to a treasure I cannot possess. And I feel like, on the outside. Anyway, let's drink. Let's go, Crappy Bird. Let's go.
Yeah.
I guess you got to be like, in this space, you got to be like careful too. So there's who's wasn't John McCain. Who's the last Trump? Pence. He would never take like a meeting with a girl without his wife there. So like his wife had to like give up her life to like essentially like, okay, where are we going tonight? But like he never had any accusals of anything, you know, because you know his wife was always there. There was always Joe, as you become bigger, like it's great to be a prince, but people come for the king. Is there ever a point of success where you're just like, I don't want that. I like my little millions. I like my little, maybe you get to, you know, 50,000 followers, but you have this option. And if you do it, you get to like millions of followers and you get, you know, you'll get like hundreds of millions of dollars. Is anything like too much where it's like, more money, more problems?
I think, you know, this falls well into the relationships thing. It's like, for me, I wouldn't, you know, I don't really care like how big I get, but you know, once I do have a partner in the future, it's like, you know, you have to really think about their safety and their concerns and, you know, kids and, you know, privacy and different things like that, especially because I'm so front facing. You know, I have my name, I'll say my first and last name, you know, during all my spaces, you know, I'm doxxed, you know, I don't care. I got my face here. So, you know, I guess privacy concerns are the only thing that, you know, have been iffy for me, but I don't know. There's lots of incredibly wealthy people in the world. There's multi-billionaires, you know, there's every, you know, thing in between. There's lots of famous people and they are able to figure out a balance that works for them. So I think, you know, if they can do it, I can do it kind of thing. So I don't know. Like I said, my goal isn't really to be like big. Like my goal is to be, you know, a big influencer. Like that's never been my goal. You know, I'm very health and wealth driven and wanting to help other people kind of thing. So, I don't know. In that regard, the bigger I am, the more people, yeah, you know, potentially be able to help. So that'd be nice. But also, there's like more privacy issues. So no, I don't really think there's a number that, you know, I'm upset about. I want to be a billionaire. You know, that's my goal. You know, that's what I'm shooting for. And you know, if I fall short and anything, you know, even close, I'll be happy with. But you know, I think you can be wealthy and probably safe, and you know, find a balance that'll work. But yeah, we'll see. I think mostly, if I'm being honest, what I'm concerned about is like right now I've been able to travel and be an actual traveler and, you know, just have, you know, just bump around in the world, you know, figure out things out. But if people, you know, recognize me some places, or, you know, if I have, you know, that might change, you know, how I then navigate in the world and like the experience I might have going to some, you know, place. You know, I mean, I guess that's the things that I worry about. Is I just want to live and have authentic experiences, you know, for a long time. So I wouldn't want people to just like walk up to me and, you know, act like they love me because they saw me on you know, YouTube video or whatever. I want to have real genuine interactions with people. So we'll see. Some of the parasocial stuff kind of freaks me out, but we'll just see what happens.
I think a way to do that is like, obviously if you go to like VidCon or if you go to like NFT NYC or any of these places, like, okay, you'll get recognized, but maybe if you go to like a horror convention, or you go like, what's something outside of Web3 that you're just the biggest nerd on and just like, oh, I eat this shit up.
Oh, I mean, Electric Universe and like Dr. Sabi, like diet and like nutritional healing, like, you know, reversing diseases with food essentially, and herbs and stuff like that. That's what I'm here for. That's why I'm making all my money. That's why I'm doing everything, is, you know, for those other goals, you know, for the health and, you know, that aspect, and opening up retreats and different things like that. You know, everything I'm doing, you know, is to try and be bigger in those realms. So, yeah, my bad. I don't know why you asked the question. Go ahead.
Oh, have you, well, I was just saying, because like at those places, like if you're not, well, like you can go there and always have that, because like no one will really know you there. Maybe, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Have you researched blood doping at all?
Oh yeah. You mean, yeah, like Brian Armstrong, not Brian Armstrong, the other Armstrong
Oh,
who
Lance Armstrong.
did it. Lance Armstrong.
So
Sorry, that's how crypto I am. Yeah, Lance.
like that is a version of it, but another version of it, like that's just like get max amount of oxygen in your muscles and like the legal way to do it is to live in like Denver for a while and then come back to where the air is not as thin, and then, but I'm talking about like, so I forget the dude's name from PayPal that has these like farm of like 18-year-old. So do you know Dr. Rhonda Patrick?
Yes, I like her a lot. and epigenetics.
She is bae. I love her so much.
I
Anyway,
really like Rhonda Fitzpatrick. Yeah.
Yo, what's up, A-Shock? How's it going? Joe, the legend.
What's up, A-Shock? What's good, bro? Sorry.
Sorry, A-Shock gets me pumped. Ready? I feel like, I don't know, when A-Shock comes in, I feel like the that opening to the song, like, let's go, girls, like ready to run through a fucking wall, bro. Anyway, so she did this experiment with these young rats, and she injected older rats with younger rat blood, and the older rats would start acting young again. And so this one dude from PayPal like took this experiment, was like, okay, what if I inject like 18-year-old blood into, like, blood from 18-year-olds into me? And supposedly it works. And like how Dr. Frankenstein-y, how like crazy do you want to get with it? Like, well, I heard this can help like vitamin D helps your telomerase, things at the end of your DNA, like it helps them decrease less. If there was something that was within budget and it's like you can decrease aging by like 50%, like the amount at which your DNA and your cells degenerate decreases by 50%, so this way in 10 years you'll only age 5 years. How crazy would you go? Like, what would you do? Because I would do it all. I have no qualms about that.
I guess that the thing is, everybody, you do you, everybody do their own thing. We just like have the answer to a lot of these questions, and I think that we're like overcomplicating health to like the maximum degree. Like, if we wanted to live as long as possible, as healthy as possible, like most of the things we should be doing are actually like free and cheap. So like, for example, you said, if you want to, increase the density of hemoglobin that you have that carries oxygen around your body, you go up somewhere that's elevated, and, that is going to do it as well over periods of time. For, the telomerase, length, shortening and lengthening, and that has to do with DNA replication, how many times your cells can, replicate or whatever. That's what they say. You could also just be eating plenty of fruits, organic fruits and vegetables, and just like different things like that. So I don't know, like we're always looking for this like magic cure, this like magic bullet, when I'm speaking as an American here, like we're kind of just being constantly inundated by poison all of the time, where if we were just to be removing some of these poisons from our body, and even the air we breathe, a lot of times, I'm from Maryland, there's air pollution is crazy here, and the food, it costs more money to eat food that isn't sprayed with poison. It costs more money to eat organic food than not organic food. So like, I think just doing those basic things would help so many people overwhelmingly that we don't have to worry about, even think about blood doping or, injecting yourself with this or genetically modifying yourself that way. Because as you know, with Rhonda Fitzpatrick, our genes are one thing, our epigenome is way more powerful and can have a way bigger influence on our health over the long term than like our genes do. Of course, our genes are going to set us up, but your epigenetics can, change so many things. So I'm just natural. If someone's giving me a shot, I don't want a shot. I don't want, someone drawing blood. I don't want any of that crap. You can, figure out if I have high blood pressure, and you can figure out if I have mineral imbalances and if I'm low in iron and all this stuff without needing to draw my blood. Without, you can read my tongue, you can read my irises, you can read, see if there's fat deposits in my body. So all I have to say is, if it's personally for me, if it's like invasive to my body, I don't really want it. I'm good on that. I don't think we need it if it's like a chronic disease. Unless if it's like a rare genetic disease, then go for it. Do whatever genetic modifications you need. But most people overwhelmingly die from chronic diseases. High blood pressure, or heart disease is the #1 killer in the U.S. Lower respiratory infections, or pulmonary disease is like #3. I don't know. Everything in the top 10, it's like in the top 10 diseases that we die from in the U.S. are from chronic diseases. So therefore, they require chronic solution. And most of our solutions are barbaric in the United States and like acute treatments. So anyways, to answer your question, if it's natural, I'm here for it. Go ahead.
I'm so new to this, so it's very interesting what you're saying. I've started researching a lot of things, and you think about, so the food we're eating goes into our body and it just creates inflammation. But what is long-term inflammation? Cancer, right? So like if you're just eating these foods like French fries or grease fatty, oily foods, and then which inflames your whole body for that day. And you're doing that constantly, like it's mind blowing to me, Joe. So I know it can go down these rabbit holes. I'll just get on Reddit to like research one thing, and then it's like, okay, I don't have time for this because now I'm researching this and this. But the inflammation part right now is very it's interesting to me because of the things that cause the inflammation. And this stemmed from having a lot of GI issues in our family and hereditarily. And we were in Ireland for 2 weeks. None of my kids had a stomach ache. Billy and I felt so freaking good. And we ate our way through Ireland, stew, fresh sourdough bread, and we didn't gain a pound. Like we came home, like I was like, I've gained 15 pounds on this trip. And no, none. And we felt good. And we got home and I'm like, clean out the cupboards. It's like my wife's throwing everything away. And then I'm like, well, it's $78 for a pound of flour from Ireland. So what do you want me to do? Okay. Now I'm back to Walmart. Like it's hard. It's almost unattainable to like sustain, like we're a family of 6 people. Like I spend $1,500 a month at the store and I don't even buy like, I try to be health conscious, but it's like almost impossible. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating, but you know, the foods here, just that inflammation just kicks up. And then if you have 10 years of it's where cancer is born, and the inflammation.
Exactly.
Chronic inflammation.
It's over. My bad, Charlie, to cut you off. It's over like 99% of cancers can only exist in an anaerobic environment. That means without oxygen or in like an acidic environment. So by doing things like exercise and eating, raw fruits and vegetables or mineral dense things actually helps bring the oxygen to those different parts of your body, so cancer can't exist. But if you're in this constant state of stress and you're not getting enough like blood flow, because stress constricts your blood vessels, and you're eating all these stressors too and inflammation, then cancers can grow in that environment. And that's why they start growing and doing other blood vessels and stuff, because anaerobic respiration is not sustainable. Like they can't do that for a long period of time, so it has to pool and get energy from other places and all this stuff. So yeah, I'm with you. And to be fair, also to be fair to you, there's only so much you can do. If you're a mom or a single mother. I was raised by a single mother for a lot of my life. I know what that struggle is like. She was a teacher. They don't get paid a lot of money, so it's like I totally get it. There's only so much you can do. Given your circumstance. So our society in the U.S. totally is set up in a way for us to be sick. So that's why, again, I think crypto is so important, because we need less sick people in the world. A lot of people are sick because they financially don't have the means to be able to afford to be healthy in the society. So
100%.
Totally feel.
Love that. Thank you for sharing. It's so interesting.
Joe, have you ever done a hyperbaric oxygen chamber?
Yeah, hyperbaric. I haven't done one, but my dad's diabetic, so he's done it before. And that's, again, forcing that oxygen in is a good one. Again, I'm a big advocate of, the best things in life are free for you, genuinely. So like if somebody has cancer, for example, if they're above a certain BMI, anyways, I'm not going to recommend anything. Everybody go talk to your doctor, but exercise, fasting, intermittent fasting, and fasting is one of the most powerful things you can do for yourself. It costs $0, for anybody, to be able to do that. As long as you can even take some stuff, you can have some mineral dense food, so you're not totally just starving yourself. But going on 3-day fast, once a year, 7-day fast, once a year, water only or whatever. Yeah, see, exactly. There's so many things. Exercise is free. Meditation is free. Those are things that are forcing oxygen in your body. It's exercise is moving your lymphatic system. Your lymphatic system is where all of your immune system is living. It just gets, the blood circulating, all this stuff. So, anyways, just whatever's free. Exercise, like food should be free. We should be able to grow it, but it's not. Just think about whatever's free and is usually the best things, and reducing the stress as much as possible, as we all know. It's going to be the best thing for us.
Yeah. Takes hard work.
Yeah, it's hard work.
Yeah, bro.
It's hard work, but we do what we can, man. We're only human. Go easy on ourselves. For all that, I'll talk about that. I'll still eat a freaking cheeseburger. I just went to Popeyes, over the weekend. No one's perfect. Crypto and all my money is complete. Love you, A-Shock.
We heart you, broski. Let's let's end it here. We'll talk off camera for a bit, and then we'll continue getting that bread, and we'll get you on the podcast and other stuff. Everyone say bye-bye to Dashi. Bye-bye, Dashi. We love you. Bye. This was great.
Bye, Dashi.
And we are ending the stream.